staying with baseball for just one more minute as bored Lucy and bored Jessica and kind of bored Mike, yawning right in my face, say baseball is not interesting. I will submit to you that what happened last night that they're trying to lure you in with is the storyline of Bryce Harper, who's just 30 years old. He wasn't actually that good this season, power numbers, but Philadelphia gives him a ton of money. Philadelphia cares about baseball, and he fancies himself a Philadelphia guy, says he likes listening to WIP on the way to the ballpark. Like he's a young man who's trying to change the swagger of the sport, and they are playing in Atlanta the 1927 Yankees of offense. Like, this is a historically great Atlanta Braves team. And last night, after innocently, I didn't think it was much of a controversy. Do you realize what it is that Bryce Harper is reacting to when he's staring down Atlanta's shortstop, Arcia?
Wait, is that true? They're playing like the 1927 Yankees?
Their offense.
Because I guarantee you I can name more 1927 Yankees than Braves.
Okay, but it's because you haven't been paying attention.
I got Acuna Matata, and I got Matt Olson.
Excellent work by you. We can go through their lineup if you like. They have a lot of players that you would like. They are the 1927
How's Furcal doing?
Yankees. He's not with them anymore. But you saw what happened at second base, right? It was a big deal that Bryce Harper stared.
I saw that on Twitter, that Bryce Harper stared back at a player.
Yes. Do you know what that player did to offend Bryce Harper?
No.
At the end of the previous game, when Bryce Harper ran around second base and got doubled off to end the game, that player had the audacity in the locker room to say, in ways that cameras caught, "Attaboy, Harper," in his second language.
Oh, okay.
He's interviewed in his second language.
I wasn't quite sure on what Samson and Adnan were saying. I just know that he took exception and made it personal.
"Attaboy, Harper" was the great insult that now gets stared down, and WIP has a hero paid $300 million because Bryce Harper is a man of the people, and he's taking down the Braves in a huge spot with 2 home runs.
Man, Bryce Harper's become a man of the people.
In Philadelphia.
That's crazy.
Because they love what kind of swagger he has, and he's winning, and he's hitting 2 home runs in a game when they hit 6 home runs.
Credit to him because he's been the same dude since he entered the league. He is authentically him.
And that was supposed to be a bad contract, and it's not if it does that to Philadelphia this time of year. But listen to the sound and what they're laughing at, because the stakes keep climbing in the playoffs. Atlanta knows how great this is. I think this is the best Atlanta team I've ever seen. All of them, this is the best one. This one, without Freddie Freeman, 104 wins, and I'm telling you, their offense, totally overwhelming, historic. They are down 2-1, but when they tied it to save their season, the last play of that game was the center fielder at the fence, robbing a home run. Bryce Harper's coming around second base. He's doubled off of first. I want to just play for the audience the sound of that. We don't have the audio or a broadcaster, but I want you to see what Atlanta's crowd is recognizing. I've got a historic team, and I'm on the cusp. If I have to go down to Philadelphia, down 0-2, I'm going to lose this series, and people are going to laugh at me. And then a ball is hit toward the wall, and you can hear the fear in the crowd, and you can hear the spots where everyone realizes that Bryce Harper has rounded second, and now he needs to get back to first. You tell me if this sound sound creates the drama and the tension that will explain to you what Philadelphia feels like and what Atlanta felt like when it went from fear to joy. And that is proof positive I cannot make baseball interesting to Lucy and Jessica.
Well, if I'm being honest, I have been watching the series, and it has been very exciting, Dan. But what has gotten me invested in it is the war online between Blooper and the Fanatic, the Phillies fanatic. I don't know what is his name. Fanatic, Philly fanatic.
He's the
Philly
Philly
fanatic.
fanatic. Yes.
The Philly fanatic.
one of the
It's
greatest
like the Ohio
mascots
State
ever.
Really
University.
bothered.
I mean, I'm old, so
Well,
I
it's,
know this.
I don't want to get his name wrong because I know that will. I don't want to be embroiled in this. I'm on his side.
The Philly fanatic is on our screens right now.
Mount
It's a very
Rushmore of
scary
mascots.
mascot.
Scary.
Yep.
Well, Blooper went after him on Twitter, and it has not been good for Blooper since. He has been.
Blooper kind of looks like a ripoff of the Philly fanatic a
Yes.
little bit.
A
You're right.
fan called Blooper a sentient pair of Dockers in response. It has been very ugly. So I'm not gonna lie, kind of rooting for the Phillies on this one. Watched the game last night, and the crowd was awesome. It was just it was a fun game. There were 6 home runs, Dan.
Are you not, and the history of this is interesting to me, are you not aware that the Philly Fanatic is a legend, first ballot Hall
No,
of
I
Fame
am
mascot?
familiar. I just didn't know if I knew him well enough to call him just like Fanatic, or if I had to call him the Philly Fanatic. Like, is there a shorthand?
Well, you heard Roy get indignant back
Well,
there.
now I know. It's
Stopped editing and yelled at you.
the Philly Fanatic. That's my bad.
Correct.
I mean, gritty is just gritty.
An enraged Roy, who's been editing all show and has not smiled one time, just rose up and defended the honor of it's the Philly Fanatic.
That's right. I love mascots.
First name the.
Duh.
And
Middle name Philly.
Blooper is just Blooper.
Blooper is nondescript. He's a Walmart mascot. No one cares about him. He's just a costume you
And
put
why
on.
why Blooper thought, and now I don't want to get involved in this. Like, I don't want
You're already
I don't want
involved.
either of them
No,
to hear
you're-
me
you're-
say this.
you're
But why
already-
Blooper thought that he could go after Philadelphia fans, who we have mentioned many times on the show as being very scary people. Big misstep on Blooper's part. Blooper should have not tweeted what he tweeted about the Philly Fanatic.
Blooper a little mouthy for something that doesn't have a mouth.
Lippy for something that doesn't have a lip. Yeah, those things need to keep quiet. What is the Mount Rushmore of mascots? If you could only choose 4, forgive me. I love mascots. I've always loved mascots. I think they're delightful.
Tony doesn't.
I don't understand why kids are scared of them. I think they make everything better. Birthday parties, that they're wonderful, and they allow you to be a child in adulthood. And Tony hates them
I don't hate them. I just think they have no place in the sport.
because they're sacrilegious. Or
No,
you
just
don't-
because like we got it. You're a guy that runs around. Okay, cool.
Because they go against God.
What's the top
they are,
4?
They are
Well-
very scary.
Well, we know the first 2 is
Anatomically.
the Philly Fanatic and the San Diego Chicken. We got to think about the next 2.
The San Diego
At
chicken.
this point, San
Who is
Diego
that?
chicken's been phased out.
Can I nominate Big Red, the Western Kentucky mascot?
Yeah, that's a good.
I feel like he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
What about
Brutus
the
the Buckeye?
What about the Sanford Cardinal?
No, we don't.
A tree?
Not,
No,
we
not
don't
again
like
with the tree. Hold on a second. You guys cannot dismiss
Enough with
history
the
like
tree.
this.
What
and
about
just
Sparty?
Roy, you cannot back down. You cannot offer the San Diego chicken and they tell you get out of here and you run for the hills like a coward. You have to defend the San Diego chicken.
Oh, absolutely. That is Mount Rushmore. Second place.
Sorry.
Is a guy in a chicken suit.
So San Diego chicken got pushed out of the way by Gritty. Gritty in just a couple short years has already made the Mount Rushmore.
That's true. Gritty's up there.
May I nominate someone for the Mount Rushmore mascots?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because the only thing that cheered me up after that loss to Alabama on Saturday was staring at a picture of Mrs. Met and her round mounds, if you know what I mean.
Philadelphia has 2 of the greatest mascots of all time already with
I think
Gritty?
so. I think you can say that.
That can't be.
Yeah.
Not if you're willing to sacrilege. You're blasphemous when you say the San Diego chicken. You just ran him off Mount Rushmore. He's been number 1 my entire adult life.
Lucy, did you know that the San Diego chicken was even a thing?
No, I had to look it up, and I'm not to be mean. I'm not that impressed.
Well,
Oh, wow.
the San Diego chicken did get tombstone pile driven by Kane.
He invented.
It was Pete
Rose.
Rose the
Yeah.
entire time.
Yeah.
He's the original. He's the OG.
the OG.
He has a picture with Ronald Reagan on his Wikipedia page.
You guys, he was the first high-paid mascot. He blazed the trail for all these people now making $650,000 a year, and you guys disrespect him. A dust in history.
Not to do a Stugotz, but like, what have you done lately?
Oh,
San
man.
Diego chicken?
Who else?
The Advanced Auto Parts car battery.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Are we talking live mascots? Because I saw Bevo this weekend. Very cool.
Stealing McBeam. Also,
yeah.
new class.
Felix
but
McBean is scary.
yeah, that's a good one. What's the Purdue Boilermaker guy?
Yeah, we don't like
No,
him.
no.
Purdue.
No,
No.
muscular bound.
No.
No.
What's
engineer.
wrong? Why is everyone scared of him? What's wrong with him?
Have you seen that little
It's just
freak?
muscles. Well, he's a big freak, isn't he?
He
Hell
is
yeah.
scary looking.
The Providence Fryer also goes in that same category. Nightmare fuel.
Pistol Pete. Which one? Oklahoma State.
I saw a video of Pistol Pete dancing at a wedding like no one was watching, and it was a little endearing, I'm not going to lie.
Sun's Gorilla.
Oh,
That's the highest
Yeah.
paid now, right?
I don't get that one. What does that have to do with the sun?
it doesn't.
I mean, it's hard to.
What does Gritty
It's a
have to do
gorilla.
with
Have a
the
son.
Flyers?
It doesn't.
What
Other
does
than
a
he's a
chicken have to
freak.
do with the Padres?
It doesn't.
Lucy, you threw out there that you're getting to see Ralphie this weekend. You said it was cool. Are you sure it's not cruel? I would think that it's very disorienting for an animal of that size to hear that kind of noise at every turn.
No, it felt very cruel the whole time. When I was like next to Bevo and the cannon was going off, I was like, this doesn't feel right, but I don't think it's anything I'm powerful enough to change. Well, I'm going to talk to Ron McGill, see what he can do.
But you're also doing this weekend with Colorado, correct? That's a home game for Colorado?
Yeah, I am so excited to see Ralphie.
You're going to
though.
see the tree also.
Just don't bring it up. Don't bring it up. I'm excited to see Ralphie, though.
Do we remember when they tried to feed Uga to Bevo? Yeah.
I don't remember this.
Uga and Bevo next to each other is like when you and Stugotz stand next to each other. One very large mascot and one very small mascot.
National championship. Yeah.
Evo tried to kill Uga.
We have to have video of that. That can't be played. That's not something.
That's dissemination, Holmes.
Oh man.
It's too bad. I thought we got away with something. We could get away with something there because we're talking about mascots. I feel like, Tony, you're in a real minority here in hating against mascots. I don't believe there's an active group of army behind you.
That's fine. Usually, leaders, again, stand on their own and go for what they believe in. And not to be cruel, but I kind of dig the live mascot. I like Bevo. I like Uga. I like the Tiger, the Ralphie. I like all
You like
those.
the cruelties.
Not the cruelty. I like the fact that they're there and they're a real mascot, not a fake mascot. Like a San Diego chicken. If they had an actual chicken, una gallina running around with a little jersey on, I'd be like, you know what? That's cool. I like
An
that.
actual in a little
And he could be
uniform.
in the game, right? You have to move out of the way. It's like a home field advantage for San Diego.
I like that.
Damn it.
You have now said that the San Diego Chicken, the pioneering Hall of Famer, #1 all-time mascot, would be better if it were actually a chicken, a gallina, let loose during play.
That's kind of what Sir Big Spur is.
It may not sound like it around here, but I am grateful for the work of this Meadowlark intern. He is busy doing other things, important things that I see on his face. He always looks fancy fresh. He always looks radiant. He has joy for creativity and life. And I see on his face that this last 6 months seems like it would be really stressful. I asked him at the beginning of this, I'm like, the strike and everything, this seems stressful. And he's like, well, we're fighting for the right thing. And now I learn when I come in today, they tell me everybody's walked away from the table dramatically and throwing up their arms, and that this thing isn't actually resolved, and peace and hope are not here.
For the actors.
I know, but
Yeah.
but
the actors were dramatic, but the writers headed by Mike Schur, who joins us now, they have gotten their deal done.
I know, but all of this has been stressful, and I feel like I see the stress on his face. Are you okay? Is everything all right? Because now you can get back to work on the important things of giving us stats of the day.
I'm fine, Dan. Thanks for asking. And yes, the talks with SAG-AFTRA seem to have broken off momentarily. That's fairly typical in these high-tension negotiations. I wouldn't read too much into it. It's not a good sign, obviously, but that did happen a couple times over the course of WGA's negotiation with the companies, and cooler heads tend to prevail. It's a little bit of posturing, a little bit of strategy, who the hell knows, or maybe they just came to an impasse. But, the writers are back to work. We're writing stuff. The actors need to get the deal that works for them, and I think they will. I think, labor's kind of having a little bit of a moment right now after a mere 40 years of being pounded on and discarded by companies, and I think that SAG is ultimately going to get a deal that they need and that will help them. So I'm optimistic. I don't know. Do I look exhausted and tired? I feel like you're saying it's the ultimate neg. You're saying like you look tired.
I might
That's
be
what you're
imagining
not
it
supposed to
just
say to
because
people.
I imagine that your life has been stressful over the last 6 months. So maybe I'm seeing it in the place that it isn't.
Let me ask you a couple questions. I haven't been on the show in a while, and these are important questions. Number one, do you think that Mario Cristobal should have taken a knee there at the end of the game? And the second question, do you think with another 5 to 8 hours of on-air discussion, this show could get to the bottom of that question? Because I'm concerned that you haven't talked about it enough as a frequent listener of the show. I don't know if we've covered every angle here. Is it the third worst loss in Miami history, or is it the fourth worst loss? Can we settle this once and for all?
It's the worst loss.
I mean, for God's sake, people. Like, I'm just trying. I have lived a kind of a stressful life. I'm trying to be entertained. I listen to your show as I walk around the streets, walking my dogs, or just trying to clear my head. It's nothing but should Mario Cristobal have taken a knee, and how did that affect the program?
Preaching to the choir
days,
right now,
for
man.
days. It's like 5 days of this.
Appreciate it.
If they had just not censored me and Lucy, we could have gotten out
That's
of
with
our
Mike.
system.
That's with Mike trying to control
on
the schedule
Monday.
so that we would talk about it less. Look at how it backfired on him.
My God.
Huge upset that you would bring that up.
It's the most discussed topic in the history of the show at
It's
this
not
point.
worth it. Yeah, I agree. Move on. Memory of a goldfish.
Are you forgetting the Cesta Cyclones because Mike's been wanting to talk?
Forgot about the
You
Cesta
did
Cyclones.
Huge
forget,
win.
You did forget about the Cesta
I
Cyclones.
know you were glued to ESPN 3. Yes, it's still around as the Cesta Cyclones got off the schneid and beat the Lifestyle Miami
Bless you,
Chargers.
Jessica.
Gesundheit.
I'll tell you this, though, as a fan of the show and a frequent listener, I'm really enjoying every week listening to Lucy go talk to college football lunatics on location. That is a delightful addition to this program.
Yeah, well,
Oh, thank you.
we'll see if you see her more or less.
Well, she's got 2 trips this week, and it's not just
Well, it's all pending review. All right, I have one quick question before we get to your stat of the day, Mike, and
Hit me.
it's just a genuine curiosity because I know you were a writer on SNL, head writer, right? I don't want to sell you short.
I was not head writer. No,
Okay,
I
then I
produced
sold
Weekend
you,
Update.
sold you long.
that was McKay was the head writer.
Oh yeah, that's the other guy. That guy, he's so cool and
Why
impressive.
weren't you ever the head writer?
Yeah, why weren't you ever head writer?
Well, McKay was there before I was. And
He's
he
a
was,
very funny
he's
man, very successful.
maybe the best sketch comedy writer ever. And then the other head writer was Tina Fey. So who should I have replaced?
Yeah,
of
no,
those
they're
two
both better
people?
than you. My genuine
Yeah.
question is,
Ouch.
Mike.
Ouch.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
See, he's admitting it. I know that talk shows aren't able to have actors on their shows as the actor strike is still going on, but talk shows occupy this weird writer-performer space, and I know that SNL is coming back this week, and Pete Davidson is hosting, and while he's also a part of SAG, he is hosting because why? My genuine curiosity here is that's performance. I know they're writing these sketches and appearing in them, but how is SNL not crossing the picket line?
This is a very complex issue that I will fully admit I don't totally understand. SAG-AFTRA does not work the way the WGA works, which is basically the WGA has contracts with the companies. When you go on strike, those are struck companies. No work gets done for those companies. SAG-AFTRA has a bunch of different kinds of contracts with a bunch of with all these places, and they govern different things. And so, like you said, Seth Meyers, Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, they're allowed to come back, even though they're SAG-AFTRA members, they're allowed to come back and host their shows because there's all these weird carve-outs for like late night and this talk shows, variety shows, all this sort of stuff. So I would assume that SNL falls under those sort of late night talk variety shows that are not technically, that contract is not being struck right now by the actors, which is why they're allowed to do it. The weird thing gets into like when a SAG actor, Timothy Chalamet goes on this Colbert show, technically speaking, he should not be doing any promotion for a project that is SAG-AFTRA covered on the other contract. It gets really wonky and kind of hard to follow, but I think that's the basic idea.
How do you feel about your victory? We haven't been able to celebrate that with you. You did a noble thing. You fought hard on behalf of the future of your writers, and you won against.
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the Drew Holiday trade.
Well, I was going to head. I was going to head there
victory.
too. The second thing that you wanted to talk about, which was, was it Drew Holiday or Lillard?
Oh, they're both victories. They're victories of a different sort. But I was. But anyway, go ahead. We'll talk
which
basketball
one was
later.
sweeter? No, which one was sweeter?
Well, it depends on whether you're in the hater mood or just the fan mood, right? If you're in a fan mood, you're like, hey, Drew Holiday is a better player than we've had at that position for the last couple of years. Some might say the final piece of the puzzle. I don't know if I'd go that far. But that was very exciting because that was unexpected. And now you look at that starting and closing five, that's as good as there is in basketball, in my opinion.
Amin doesn't think they've gotten better. Amin called Drew Holiday a corpse. I didn't understand any of that analysis.
He's probably basing that on, the Heat did cook him a little bit in that series last year. And believe me, that's in the back of my mind. But that's a very good basketball player. And you can't look at the Heat roster and the age of the Heat players and say that they're better. That's a better lineup than the Celtics starting five.
You haven't been able to say that over the last few years.
No, I have actually. You always forget that the Celtics won one of those series.
No, I'm saying no. What I'm saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're that the Heat. Yes, no, that's true.
Yeah,
that's
congratulations
certainly true.
on your one win over the Heat in the playoffs in my lifetime.
When you
Thanks.
always have the better roster.
Yes, look, that's true. You're not going to get me on this. You know where I stand on this. You know what I have said about the Miami Heat and how I have been right about the Miami Heat.
But it's
You're
also
not gonna get me on
it
this.
was also I didn't like it because it let you off the hook when it came for me drinking your tears. I didn't get to actually enjoy that because it was just a celebratory parade of you actually being right. But
yeah.
I have been super annoyed by the victory lap that Celtics fans initially took with Lillard going to Milwaukee. I was confused by it because it makes Milwaukee clearly the best team in the East. And now if you look at DraftKings Sportsbook, you're right there with them in terms of favorites in the East. But by him not going to us, you made Milwaukee a super team.
That's true. However, Giannis is adorable and great. And if you lose to Giannis, you think like, no, you know what? I love that guy. That guy's great.
I like
he
this
likes
boy.
smoothies,
Yeah, like
and
Milwaukee. Yeah, with that.
Milwaukee's like that's great for Milwaukee. I want Milwaukee people to be happy. I don't want you to be happy.
Yeah,
And so yes, it makes the Bucks better, but it makes you worse, and that is a win. That's a net
Mike
win.
Schur, do you realize how funny it is, though, for you specifically to say, yes, hating the Miami Heat feels to me better than solving the strike?
Look, I'm happy for all of my fellow writers. I'm very happy for our crews and all of the ancillary businesses that get back to work and everything else. That's all great. But the Heat taking it on the chin, I mean, there's nothing that feels like that. That's as good as it gets.
Well, you're wearing your Celtics jersey because you now believe that you're no longer afraid of the Heat. You are now somebody who feels like...
Oh, I'm terrified.
No,
of the
you don't
Heat.
get to do this now. You don't get to do this now.
Why?
No.
I'm not doing it
If
now.
and when
I'm doing
it happens,
still.
If and when it happens, I get to enjoy it more than I enjoyed it last year.
The
Just
Heat
say it now.
no. The Heat have officially ascended into the echelon that the Yankees are in for me in baseball, which is I do not celebrate until they are out of the playoffs, until they are mathematically
This is the
eliminated.
highest rung of the
I feel
sports
better.
ladder.
Yeah.
That is the
Yes.
ultimate sign of respect.
I appreciate
You know?
that.
Mike Schur saying that his respect is soaked in so much fear that they have now rivaled the Yankees. He cannot give a greater sports compliment than
the
that.
Yankees have been alone in that echelon my entire life. Alone. No
Holy
one.
That should
Heat
be a
after,
banner.
like-
Yeah, I'll
should
take
be
that.
that
Thank
should
you.
be a banner.
You've actually given me a lot today.
That's unbelievable.
Just be careful. Something called Cole Swider hit 5 3-pointers in the fourth quarter last night.
No, they're raving about him. No, they're
Who is this? I gotta worry about a new
They think they're
random
deeper and better than they were with Strus and Vincent.
40% sure I pronounced his name correctly.
No, you did, and they're in love with him. They can't wait for Heat fans to see how much better he is than Strus and Vincent.
I'm sure he is. This is. You know what this is like?
Start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day. Start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day. Start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day. Start of the day. It is the start of the day.
It really is nice to be back on the show. And nothing makes me feel more at home than the second the segment starts watching Jessica pick up her phone and just totally tune out.
What do I do about that? Can you give me
Nothing. No,
talk
it's
Notre
great.
Dame?
It's great.
I'm producing the show, okay?
There is a recipe
Jessica,
for banana bread on your computer right now.
I was looking up the overtime period of the Arizona USC game for my segment with Lucy
Right.
later.
Producing
I
a
haven't
banana
done the
bread.
You
Wordle
switched
since
tabs.
Big Suey, okay?
We actually had our whole family was going to go to USC Notre Dame this weekend, and then we had to unfortunately cancel the trip. But we were all
Because
set
they
to-
lost to Louisville? Sorry, that was a...
No,
The weather
no.
looks terrible, so probably
The weather
not a
looks
good
really
choice.
bad, so we're using that as our to make ourselves feel better about missing it. But that was the plan. We're gonna try to get there at some point, probably now at this point next year. All right, here's your stat of the day. Here we go. This is according to someone I've never cited before, Baseball History Dork on I think Facebook. Somebody sent me a screen cap of this.
Of course,
and I think it's
Baseball
the
History
Facebook
Dork is exclusively on Facebook.
Exclusively on Facebook. It's perfect, right? The Seattle Mariners, a fairly tortured franchise, did not make the playoffs this year. They have, in their history, this is an incredible stat about their playoff utility. In their history, the Seattle Mariners have the same number of playoff appearances as they do ruptured testicles suffered by their players. That's 5. In 1980, their pitcher, Mike Parrott, took a comebacker off of Minnesota shortstop Roy Smalley, ruptured testicle. Josias Manzanillo had both of his testicles ruptured by Manny Ramirez
What?
in 1997.
What?
Adrian Beltre not wearing a cup when Alexi Ramirez of the White Sox got him. And then Mitch Haniger in 2019. There's 5 total ruptured testicles in the
no.
history of the Seattle Mariners.
Oh, no.
And they have 3 ALCS appearances and 2 division appearances. That's it. 5 total playoff series victories.
That is an amazing stat. I think,
Yeah.
Mike Schur, I don't know what we're going to do about this. I've been talking about having you, as the rest of your internship, be just go find the greatest stat there's ever been. I thought I gave one of them earlier this week when I said that Jim Harbaugh has more rushing yards than Bo Jackson.
That's a good one.
I've got another one. I mean, Tom Brady never being mathematically eliminated from a game that he took a snap in is kind of crazy. But I also thought I heard a good one this week. Most touchdowns rushing in a season at Virginia Tech. Not Michael Vick, Bruce Arians.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Amazing.
That's a good one.
It's unbelievable. Are you going to find for us the best stat ever told?
I'm gonna try. I don't know when. I've already talked to Pablo Torre about this. We're gonna try to find out together what the greatest stat is. But I do have a job that I have to do.
Well, okay, go get back to it. But real quick before you leave, what was the most joyous of the victories? Not spoken in platitudes because you saved the future for writers, but this had to be a little bit emotional and syrupy. You stared down the Igers and the CEOs of the world, and you got your fair cut. You demanded it, and you got it.
It was incredibly gratifying. I'm very grateful to the rest of the negotiating committee and the leadership. And Alan Stutzman, who was our chief negotiator, they had a very, very steady hand through this whole thing. They were very good at communicating to the membership what was going on, what we were fighting for, why it mattered. Everybody really got it and understood it. And the guild writers are tough MFers, man. They really gutted it out in a very, very long, nearly the longest strike in our history, within days of being the longest strike in our history. And it was very painful and very hard. But we came through on the other side and we got the stuff, not everything we wanted, obviously, but we got the majority of the stuff that we feel like we need to keep writing a viable career. And it was very, very gratifying. So I'm very grateful to the entire Writers Guild. And I hope that the SAG-AFTRA gets the same deal.
A piece of Metal Arc is coming out there the next couple of weeks to be at your side and embrace you, okay? We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
All right, see you then. Bye, folks.
The top tweet on Mike Ryan Ruiz's account that you get for free. This isn't one that you have to pay for. There are thoughts and information and things on Mike Ryan's X account. I'm going to call it Twitter for the rest of time. Do I have to call it X? Like, I don't even understand why we
It's Twitter.
Why
You're
did
good,
we rebrand that? Like, what's the point behind rebranding that when everyone knows it's Twitter? Twitter was a place that everyone knew. Why would you change the name of something that everyone knows? Is there a strategic reason for that? Just want to make
Elon's
it yours?
playing chess.
Okay.
We're playing checkers.
The top tweet, that's no longer a tweet. It's an X. It's not a tweet anymore, right?
It's a tweet.
It's still a tweet on X.
I
It's
will
not-
pay. I will match whatever Mike Ryan is being paid to call it Twitter to pay you to say Twitter, Dan.
Okay, so it is a tweet on X in which Mike Ryan goes after Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is not playing football. Aaron Rodgers, over the last few years, has really decided as a personality to speak his mind. I've seen a lot of interviews with him, and he's advocating for psychedelics, and there are times that he looks super glassy-eyed, like he is in midlife going on a journey that involves darkness retreats and speaking his truth now on Pat McAfee. And he is calling Travis Kelce Mr. Pfizer. And Travis Kelce laughs it off and says, I'm not going to do vaccine wars with Aaron. And then Aaron comes back on McAfee and says, it's not a war. I'd like to debate you. I'd like to debate you on vaccines. And Mike Ryan writes,
RFK Jr.
Mike Ryan writes on Twitter, again, not for subscription. This one you get for free. The only time I hear about vaccines now is on Aaron Rodgers' weekly hits. We got it. It was too experimental for the same guy foot jobbing healing crystals while he blasts the sounds of dolphins bleeping to heal his Achilles. I'm exhausted. You don't like that Aaron Rodgers is coming out here for the second or third straight year advocating on behalf of Joe Rogan's America, and people are still divided on the vaccines in a number of different ways. I would say to you that I understand anybody who says, I don't trust pharmaceuticals, I don't trust the government, I don't trust doctors, don't tell me what to put in my body. But when there's a community health scare, I prefer to trust science and the idea that me not taking a vaccine is something that I am doing under crisis on behalf of a community. I was willing to go down the route of trusting science and the vaccines, but he's out here keeping this as a conversation, wanting to argue Travis Kelce about it.
It's COVID-19. The 19 is for the year that it started. Okay? We talked vaccines and the pandemic as it raged through America and the world in 2020, as it impacted sports in 2020 and 2021. Largely, I think we've gotten away from it for the last couple of years. It's about to be 2024. And I think, look, I can avoid it. I can avoid McAfee. It's on while I'm on. But Adam Schefter tweeting it as if it's the funniest thing in the world, Mr. Pfizer, and all in the name of engagement, I get it. But, enough. I'm just sick of hearing, these are the same people that were downplaying the pandemic. It's been 3 years. What are we still doing? It's not a conversation piece for me. It hasn't been 4 years at this point. And I don't fault anybody for not getting a booster. I had one booster. I had the J&J one booster. I get it. Fine. Whatever. It was something that I felt like I had to do in the moment in time when all our lives were impacted and people were dying left and right to try to get us back to normal. We're thankfully, even though this thing is still around, more closer to normal than we've been. And it's a tired talking point. It's not funny. It's not clever. And he's obsessing over it. And it's just in the lamest way possible. He was interesting to me at a time. But he's not interesting. He's not. It's the lamest talking points ever. Okay, we're going to keep going. Now it looks like he's grifting on the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce thing in the name of relevancy. And what now you're the guy that's just, I'll challenge you to a debate. You have Fauci. It's lame. It's just lame. It's lame. It's a loser thing to do.
Does Adam Schefter have a contractual obligation to tweet about McAfee? Because a lot of people got really weirded out during College Game Day a few weeks ago when Adam Schefter tweeted that McAfee had food poisoning.
I think so.
And then he tweeted this Aaron Rodgers comment as if it was a news item, but a funny, non-serious one.
I think, look, there's obviously a corporate synergy
It's
aspect
bizarre,
to this, but
though,
I think
right?
I think Adam genuinely likes the McAfee show, and I like Pat, and I find it charismatic. I'm bored to tears anytime McAfee talks to Aaron Rodgers when Aaron Rodgers is not playing and he's just talking about vaccines the entire time in ways that I don't find funny, and it's just formulaic at this point. I think I have the biggest issue with it in that it's not funny. It's just tired. It's a tired act. Dude, it's about to be 2024. I haven't cared this strongly about it, like, for years. And we're still going with this?
There are a whole lot of people who are trying to drag me into this conversation with the pointing out that ESPN, quote unquote, ran people off because of politics. And now you have on a show somebody who's actively in it. The policy at ESPN has always been if an athlete is doing it, you can use that as a shield to talk about
Right.
whatever you're talking about.
Here's the actual policy at ESPN, and I'll give you this one for free. As long as it aligns with Norby Williamson's politics, it's okay. And if it doesn't, he'll leak something out to outkick the coverage. We all know what's going on there. He ascends, politics change.
That was very direct. You did give
That's
that.
what it is.
It's about time somebody
That's what
said
it is.
It's really about time.
That's all it is.
I don't think people see that.
Okay,
Though. You're saying,
all right. Well, we know who his reporter is. We know the numbers that he shares, and we know the policy in place and how it shifts as he amasses power.
But you are out here saying something I don't believe that the audience knows or has any idea what it is that you're talking about as you talk about the virus. And I'm
but the
talking
hypocrisy therein lies the hypocrisy. It's that people with the platforms are now saying something more agreeable that fall in line with the people that make the content decisions.
The way that the policy would be defended in this instance is if an athlete is doing the politics and it wears a jersey, that is the way that you're allowed to do politics. And Aaron Rodgers, by wearing a Jets jersey, that's the argument that would be on that side. It's always allowed in the instances when you're allowed to use the athlete as a meat shield, not when you can show your own politics. That McAfee can't talk about the virus, that he can only do it through Aaron Rodgers.
Right. Well,
it's only allowed through Aaron Rodgers.
I know what the rules were when we were there, and they do appear to be different. I'm not jealous about it. I know why they're different, because they don't fall in line with the shot callers there. Like, that's the main difference. You want to talk about, like, oh, now we don't have to stick to sports. No, it was the main problem with us not sticking to sports. It was our views. It was what we were talking about. It wasn't the fact that we were talking about them. It was because us talking about them, us specifically, and our views made people there uncomfortable.
You stared into a camera and gave that one for free.
Yeah.
That's very.
You can get more of that for $2.99 on X or Twitter.
Tell more. Wait, more. Well, now we'll get people. Wait a minute. If you start talking about that,
you know what's going to happen. He's just going to leak something out to Bobby Burke, anyways.
Yeah.
That's been the move.
you just gave away all the secrets.
I don't know who any of these people are.